He formed you, shaped you. Colossians 3:10 says, put on the new man which is renewed in knowledge after the image. There it is. After the image of him that created him, there's what you're being conformed to. Or let's say you wanted to give like a personal assessment of yourself. You could say, well, I am what I am by the grace of God. At the formation, see, is made. Now this work, brethren, of formation is guaranteed of completion. Your work is to abide in the vine, abide in Christ. That's your job. Stay where God puts you. When you come into Christ, you are baptized into Christ. You are set with him in heavenly places. You got to stay where he placed you, because the formation, that's where the forming takes place, where he puts you.
Amen.
Being confident of this very thing, Philippians 1:6 says, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform yet until the day of Christ. So the formation isn't over yet. But he's going to complete this work, your job, and it'll take all you have. It'll take all you have to do it. You can't afford to be distracted or turned aside. There are a lot of things that can do this now. Other things can upstage this divine intention that on the surface looks like they're innocent. Maybe you could devote yourself to your family, and you do it so much that you forgot who formed you.
Yeah.
That he formed you for himself. And if you're a head of a family, then you approach your family as belonging to God. You raise them in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, this sort of thing. So you live differently, knowing he'll finish the work if I just stay here. And he'll work everything together for good to them that love God, who are called according to his purpose. It'll all will work out. Yeah. It may look at times like it's not working out. Yeah. It may look like things are falling apart. But you can't afford to be weighed down with this. You've got to come up higher and lift. A person who's treading water, begin to sink there in the water, they have to get their head above water. They have to get their head above water. That's what you have to do in circumstances of life. You have to get up above the trial that you're going through and think on a higher level. God didn't make you to drown. This isn't why he made you. He made you for himself. But sometimes you have to go through a long, hard desert where scorpions are and there's no water. But if you're Joshua and Caleb, you get to the promised land, and you get your inheritance, and you won't lose any strength. You'll be able to handle it. So in Christ, Christ is not making sinners. In Christ, God is not making sinners.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's not promoting sin. And he's not leaving people in sin. But it's good that it does something to me just to be able to say that. It does something, because there are people that they don't actually say he made you sinners, but they say he left you that way. But no, he didn't. The aim is not to cease to be sinners. The aim is to be conformed to the image of his Son. So there's I can see why it's that way, because you'd be a little too shallow in there. Well, at last I don't sin anymore. You'd be a little too shallow in your assessment. So to be conformed to the image of Christ, you will never be satisfied with how far you are in this conforming process. That's what will keep you going. So he didn't make you. I formed you not so you wouldn't be something. I formed you so you would be something. Glorious truth. And the objective now is to master your life, is not to master your life on earth. That's not the pinnacle of success.
That's right.
The purpose is to be prepared for life after you leave the world.
Amen.
That's what the conforming is about.
That's
The conforming isn't to shape you up to the pattern of ideal living in the world. That's not the aim. The aim is to prepare you for when there isn't any, this present evil world isn't anymore. That's the aim. So these are some preliminary thoughts on forming, but you can see it's a very large subject.